Well, a very pleasant good afternoon and welcome to the Ken Rampersaud Show here on Island Zone Radio in New York. And I have a very special guest in studio, and he looks good, and the background is very nice. You look like a star there, my brother. Good afternoon, Mr. Narine Dat. How are you doing?
Good afternoon. I'm doing good, good. Beautiful weather on our end here. We are making, the most out of it. But yeah, I'm doing good. Good on my end here. Hope the same for you, by the way.
Well, I'm kind of hot in the studio, but you know what? It looks like it's beautiful in Canada. You have a beautiful background and a nice multicolored shirt that really light up this web right now. So, ladies and gentlemen, like I said before, we don't need any kind of introduction really to Mr. Narayan. That most of you know him. He is a husband, a father, a son. He is also a social worker, a registered social worker, and he's out of Canada. He's also a talk show host. And you know what? I have to say, he's one of the Guyanese who have the most awards in Canada, probably around the world, but I think about over 200 awards, if I'm correct. So I want to welcome you, my brother, and hope, as I said, all is well in Canada. Today we're going to talk about a very interesting topic, and look at how he's smiling there. When Mr. Narayan Dat came up with this topic, I said, let's beat it. It's a problem that's affecting so many of us in so many places that I said, you know what? And the truth of the matter is, I really want to bring up these kind of things. It's affecting our family from one generation towards the other. And guess what it is? Evil people with friendly faces. And surprisingly, I saw a singer out of Trinidad and Tobago. She made a similar comment yesterday. And so I sent our picture, Narayan. Let you take a look. But let's talk about a couple of things. How you felt about the fight last night with Dari? He's a Guyanese, fought in Guyana and won the fight. What's your take?
I mean, I think it was a beautiful thing, but the thing is sometimes we have to pay attention to the things that people are not saying. And that's crucial, right? So I'm not sure if you watch up to the end. He did, apart from winning and so on. I think that's great for him. It's great. I mean, Guyanese people were all behind it, obviously, and the diaspora and so on. But I think we have to also pay keen attention to the things that he was saying and things that other people were not saying. He brought in some very important pieces about the support, and all of that. And I think we cannot ignore the fact that he brought up such of an important point as well too, because the thing is, we don't get to see things that goes behind the scene. We only see things in front of the camera, right? So we see the nice flowery shirt and all of that, right? Right. We don't get to see the production part, but I think it's great. I think it's a beautiful thing. I think sports in itself. I mean, I'm not a big sports fan, but study shows, sport in itself is a beautiful thing. And I think it's good for the country. I think it's good for the people, right? Anything that can really bring people together, anything that can engage people in something positive, I'm all for it. I think it was a beautiful thing. And so, yes, that's what I made out of it last night. normally I wouldn't watch, boxing and so on, but how could I not watch the one from last night, right?
To be very honest with you,
Yeah.
I did not get to watch the fight last night. I had a problem in the house
Oh,
where
that's right. Yeah.
I had a pipe problem. So then I tired and I went straight to bed. But I didn't get to listen to it. But I would love to interview the young man. I met him a couple of months ago right here in New York. So I sent a couple of messages to interview him. Also, it's good that we talk a little bit that what's affecting our community. But before I do that, let me welcome all of our guests that's watching the Ken Rampersaud Show with Narine Dat today, guys. Please continue to share the page to your friends and your family. It's things could affect us all as human beings, and none of us is outside of the box, so to speak. So yes, yesterday what rocked the world, Guyana and around the world with two talented. Actually, one of the talented guy, he's a singer. They found him and another guy, both of them in a car at the Marriott in Guyana. And I know that it's affecting so many people. Uh, as a psych nurse, I put in my piece, but I'm going to wait on the final result of all that's going on. And then, right, as a social worker, you've been dealing with these kind of stories a lot in Canada. You have a wealth of experience in all of this. How do you when you heard this happen in Guyana, how did it? I don't know if you know the guy that's a singer, but how you took it?
Well, obviously, it was a huge shock. I have to tell you that because I'm very active on social media, as
Right,
people would
right,
know, right? So it was a huge shock, right? Extremely. And I mean, I personally know him. I've spoke with him on a
oh,
few
really?
occasions and things of that kind. And I mean, I've known him well. But the thing is, one of the things I want to add to this here is that most of the times, right, it is not about the people themselves. Most of the times it is about the environment, right? So in order for us to change those situation, it is not about the individual itself or individuals, so to speak. It is about the environment, and it's us that is, right? We have to make sure that we create, safe space for everybody and all of that. And we have to make sure at this point, I mean, I think we have gone too far. When I say we have gone too far, like people with all the comments that I've seen, people are coming with their own conclusion, they're giving their own opinion and so on. And as
Hmm.
human beings, it is okay, of course, and that's what we do naturally. We give our opinions, but we should keep our opinion to ourselves, at least for now, and allow the families, to grieve, go through this very, very difficult process here, right? And so that's what I would encourage people, at this very moment. But obviously, it's very shocking. But in this age and time, nothing is shocking, by the way, right? This is not the first time we have seen situation as such, and we do nothing, right? And so that's one of the reasons it's worth all the pieces. I mean, people will reach out constantly, right? I mean, I probably have saved personally for me, and for to those of you who are watching, you probably have done the same too, right? And Ken, I'm sure you've done too. We do a lot of things, and I mean, I mean, even professors and so on, are reaching out because people are in a dark spot, right? We can easily say, you know what, we don't have the time, or we can easily say, you know what, it's going to cost you this much. And so we have to think along that line. And I think, we have a role here. But in this particular situation, I will encourage people to kind of step back a little bit, keep your judgment for yourself, you know, because we need to continue to create a safe space. Because if we put our opinion there, we are not really creating any kind of safe space. We're just making things worse without realizing it. So that's my take on that, but extremely shocking. And I still can't get it over, to tell you the truth.
Really? Wow. Narayan, as you know, I've been a psych nurse and I work in psych for a long time, for over 15, 20 years. Also, I've been a suicide advocate for many, many years. At my job, I've actually, and I'll tell you how it affected me. Over the years, I have found about 5 to 6, 7 people died in their apartment. I couldn't find them to give them their medication, and you go and look for them and bam, I go in the apartment like when everything is okay. I knock at the door, nobody answer. I remember finding one guy died between the toilet bowl and the wall. I remember another one died with drug overdose where he had all the paraphernalia around the toilet bowl where he was. And so much people that I found dead. And it started from a young age for me. My neighbor actually, an older guy, I didn't see him for a couple of days. And I went, and it's strange that I didn't see him. But what had happened really, is that I went and we took a, I took a, no, I sent my brother up. I said, you go and peep at the window and see if you see this guy. Go in his house and see what's going on. And the strange thing is that when my brother went on the ladder, he jumped down the same time. So, and he was a young boy. And then I said, you know what, let me go now. I'm the big man now. You know what I mean, big man? That was my
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
when I went and I look at the bed, I think it was traumatic, but I'm a strong guy too. And despite how strong we are still weak. So when I look at him, he was dead on his bed. Blood was all over his face, and so I have a history of finding people dead, and this is so sad that even now when I go to look for patients, and I try to go in their apartment, I get very anxious. And I tell my boss, listen, I don't want to do this anymore because you know what? I don't want to find anybody else dead in my life. So it's a traumatic thing. I think that people can talk about it. In, like you said, they need a safe space to talk about this. I didn't realize that the guy from Hague was actually my mother's second or third cousin from Hague. So and I've never met him before. And strange enough, but on behalf of the Ken Rampersaud Show, Narine Dat, and all of us, our viewers, we would like to wish this family, all the very best. I know it's difficult to bury a child, but you have our support. We send our deepest sympathy to all of you. And I pray that in this world that we're living in, I say so many times, and I wish you can talk a little bit about more because you know more than I do in these terms of safe space and so on. But in this world, there is so many things that's going on that people don't know, and people are scared to talk about things. We don't want to talk because guess what? You tell somebody, they go back and tell somebody else, and then somebody else go and tell somebody else. What in general we are talking. I'm
Yeah,
not talking about any case. So what advice you have for people who have things boiling up inside of them?
Well, I mean, first of all, when people are in that dark spot, it becomes even more difficult for them to reach out. It is easy when we are in a better place. It is easy for us to encourage people to reach out and so on, but that's not going to happen. Very rarely, study shows that, right? Because people are already cooked up, they're already in that dark spot. They're not. The only way they're seeing out is to really end their lives, study shows, right? So that's what they're
Right.
seeing. They're not seeing light at the end of the tunnel. That's one of the reasons why I said from the beginning that we now, the people who care about people, right, the people who are in a little bit of a safer space and in a little bit of a better mental state, so to speak, we have to start to listen to the things that people are not saying, right? Because
Amen.
when
Amen.
people reach out to us, when we do counseling, all of that, people only share a small piece of their life story, right? So we now, with our expertise, have to start to listen to the things that they're not saying and take
Correct.
it
Correct.
seriously, right? And so reaching out when people are in a dark spot, they do not see any sort of opportunity other than end their lives. I have a brother actually who died by suicide, right? But those times I didn't understand all of these things. That's quite a few years ago, kind of
Sorry
thing,
to hear
right?
you.
So
Yeah.
now that I'm more knowledgeable and so forth, I start to put bits and pieces together. He was giving away all of his possession, and interestingly enough,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I find it funny and interesting at the same time. Somebody called me yesterday, and they gave me a valuable item. I start to worry now.
Oh my.
Family
Yeah. Yeah.
member, by the way, and they said to me that we want to give you this. I said, for what? He said, we just want to give it to you. And I'm starting to reflect back, as
Yeah. Yeah.
to
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
took place with my brother because he was giving away all of his possessions. So I kind of went in, I'm checking with the person just to make sure the person is
Right.
okay.
Right. 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 Right.
You know what I mean? Yes. So, I mean, at the end of the day, we have to really pay keen attention and we have to do some extra work on our end because, I mean, there's shortage of resources and all of that. So it's hard for people to really get to the bottom of all the pieces because our line of work, it's extremely difficult because we're dealing with challenging and people who are in dark spot in their lives. So we listen and hearing all of these stories every single day, and so for we too, we need to take good self-care for ourselves as well too, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
we cannot feed off an empty bucket, right? So we
Right.
cannot do it all, we cannot solve everything, but we really have to stay on top of it. But it's extremely sad and I, like the kind of comment that I've seen people make extremely strong comments, and I
Yeah,
start to worry for them, because I'm thinking they themselves are probably in a very dark spot there.
yeah,
They
yeah.
probably need some help there too, and we're not realizing. So we're also judging too, right? We are
Right, right.
judging people with all the comments that they're making, including myself, of course. But then I'm thinking that maybe they need, something is going on there too, right? So we
Right,
have
right.
to make sure we be mindful of that. Yeah.
It's strange that you say that. Two things that you said. One of them, one of my boss said to me one time. She said to me, be very careful when you, like, I always say I'm tired. I want to go and sleep. I could sleep for 1 year, and she said, be very careful what you ask for, because she said it one time and she ended up getting sick for like a whole year and was resting for a whole year. So anytime she hear me say, God, I'm tired, I want to go rest, she said, be careful what you're asking for. So I am very careful with the words that I use in these days. But not that I'm scared of anything. I believe what's going to happen is going to happen. I mean, I want to be optimistic about things. Let's give some love out to our viewers and see, we have some people is watching. Ajay, good evening. And I want to talk about what's not Priya. Roxanne says yes, judging. Roxanne says interesting. Ruina Lala, very good evening to you. Priya Prasad is watching from Guyana. It's always good to have Roxanne, and I read Roxanne Walker comment today. When her husband died, and this is a loud statement she made. She said when her husband died, her room was filled with people, yet she felt alone. And so many times we do things and we don't realize what we are doing, at what harm we are doing, and that's why sometimes it's always good to be kind with our words. Eagle Wings, good afternoon. Anita Ish is watching. She says sorry to hear about Narayan's brother. Rowena Law says, Ryan Law, I agree. 100% in the US is not such a big issue as it in our West Indian homes. Lord, I don't even, if I talk about that, people want to say, you're judging. But when we talk about judging, I want us to go back there and talk a little bit. Hard, watching, good evening. Trisha Ali, a very good evening to you. Malika Prasad, a very good evening to you. Let's see, Ryan says, Rowena Lal agree. The issue is those who are gays in Guyana are not protected from their parents or the potential outlashes they will receive in the USA. They at least have 911 to call. And we will have time. I'll make sure we have time to talk on our subject. One of the things that I've told people, and when this happened, I wrote Narine Dat, and I says, I know I could get backlash with this, but in coming, I am going on vacation. When I come back, I want Narine Dat and myself to team up. I hope he's brave enough to stand with me, and I have people say, listen, Ken, we will be with you. I am going to do some interviews, probably next month, uh, half of next month, onto the next month. I want to bring this out. I think I'm man enough to take the backlash that people want to talk. Have conversation that what people don't want to have about gays, sexuality, about people's sexuality. I believe, and sorry, Narayan, I'm taking some of your time. I believe this is a free world and people can be whoever they want to be. At the end of the day, I tell people when we all die, we go to our God to answer for our own selves. We are not taking anybody with us. Let's see, Rowena, she says, good evening to you, to my friend Angel Etwaru, a very good evening to you. Let's start from the top. Priya, good afternoon. So guess what? So all who's going through hard time, and Narayan Dat is a registered social worker. If you guys are going through a hard time, please reach out to him, and he can definitely give you a couple of minutes talk and give you a little pep up. I can do the same, but not as professional as he could do it. But together, we can really do help. And when we talk about judgment, we all do judge at the end of the day. It all depends on how we are judging. And Narayan, I want to throw this ball at you. I'm so sorry, I didn't give you a heads up. As what I just see, Roxanne, I think, says we are judging, and we all do judge, right, in some way or the other.
Absolutely. Oh, yes, we all do. We are human beings, we all do. And that's one of the reasons it is important for us to really be conscious, with how we do things, when we do it and all of that. So judging, we do it constantly. For example, just by you saying that, you look good in your shirt is a form of judging too, because what does that mean? Does that mean that
Right.
I didn't look good the last time?
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
for
Yes.
sure, but I got the
Right.
point. But I
Right.
mean, we have to be mindful. And I think that's one of the reasons why we're even having this conversation in the first place, right? There's always
Right.
room for improvement and for us to do things a little bit different, but we cannot overdo it, right? That's for sure.
Right. Absolutely. Thank you for your input. And so let's get to our serious discussion. Evil people with friendly faces. So when we talk about evil, what are we really talking about?
And before I answer a question, let me make it clear to people. We, Ken and I, we are, we have no intention to. We are not pointing at anybody. We are sharing our knowledge. We are not by any way saying that our life is perfect, right? We all have that goodness
Imperfection.
and evilness in us. There's no question about that, right? But
Absolutely.
but basically, to answer that question, um, when we talk about evil people, it's basically it's very wicked people, right? It is people who are wicked by nature, and basically they will have pleasure when your life is not going so well. So let's say
Mhm.
things are not going so well in your life, you are suffering, you are having a hard time, you lost your job, you don't have a place to live, you are fighting with the in-laws, whatever the case may be, you're separated and so on. The people who are on the evil side, right, they get joy that way, right?
Mhm.
That's how they feel good about themselves. And so in a nutshell, that's my response to that question. People, we live in a different kind of world, and that's the reality, right? And so we all have seen how some people really can make life difficult. It's and it makes it even more hard on us to see when good people are basically paying the price for it, so to speak,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Absolutely, it's happening as we speak. There's no question about that.
And I'm going to throw this follow up your question, and then we'll go to our other question. And we find them. Do we find them in church? And I'm going to be the devil's advocate today, my brother. Do we find them in the churches too, or do we find them in school? Do we find them in our household? Where do we find evil people?
Very good question. So, mean to tell you the truth,
I see you
evil
smiling.
people, evil people, you do not have to look far. They can be people in your circle. They can be people that are very well dressed. They can be the same person that you slept with last night. They can be, the same people that you go to church and Mondays and all of that. So, not far away. They are everywhere. You are going to be amazed. So, when we talk about evil people, right? That doesn't mean that they're not nicely dressed. That doesn't mean that what they have a shortage of resources in the world and so on. Absolutely not. Rich people, you'll be surprised to know that the evilness it happens within a family circle, friends that you have known for a long time. Keep in mind, people change mentally, circumstances happen, but it's not far away, Ken, just so you know. So you better look out for people in your circle.
I know, I understand. Like I said, I want to be the fly in the wall. Like I said before, and you've said that despite we're talk show hosts and whatever it is, I'm a nurse. Um, I know where I could find them. I know you have them in your house, in your church. You go to Mandir, you go to mosque, wherever you go, you could find these people. Even to our workplace, you will find evil people and wicked people that wants to get you in trouble. When something happens, I hear people say, "Well, it's good for she because she always want to put people in trouble. It good she fall. It good this happen. It's good to happen." But I've always said, that and I always try to live by the rule that what you dig a hole for someone, you better dig two, because chances are you might fall in the same hole that you're digging for someone. What are some of the evil things that you think that people really do?
I mean, people do a variety of different things here, so I hope people are paying attention here and make their contribution as well too, right? I may have
Right.
mentioned it in different ways earlier, but you know what? They basically, the evil people will enjoy watching other people in pain. They have fun doing that because they have that evilness in them, right? They seems to want to have that need, right? The need to be in control, right? They want to
Mhm.
be in control of everything, right?
Mhm.
They actually will go above and beyond to make sure that they take control, of whatever is happening. If you are working on a specific project or if you're doing something, they will take full control. They also, when I say they, I'm referring to the evil people here,
Right.
right?
Right.
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 So they basically will manipulate
Mm-hmm.
everybody, right? They
Mm-hmm.
want everybody to be on their side, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
one of the reasons when you hear something, you want to make sure you listen to everybody, right? I made a video about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You do not want to kind of, go with that most popular person or the person who talked the most, so to speak, kind of thing. And believe it or not, the evil people, they will even lie. They will lie so that they can look good. They do all of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, they will manipulate, and in fact, they will even cry. The people that are evil will put up a good show. They will cry. They will make people feel sorry for them, and so on. And us now with a soft heart, right? We see a
Right.
little
Right.
bit of a little bit of a tears, and we say, "Oh my goodness," kind of thing, right? So we
Right.
have to be very mindful when people leak their tears, because the evil people have the tendency to portray themselves to be the innocent one when in reality they're not, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you want to kind of be mindful of that. They actually will hide. They will hide the truth, right? They will hide the truth because once the truth comes out, they will not look good. So that's what they do, and they do it really, 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 really well. All right. They actually will leave you, you know, feel weird as well too. And another way you can tell, I should add here, one way is you can tell if you are among evil people. If you go and you visit a few people, you will have that instinct, right? You will feel an instinct that, you know what, you do not belong here. You'll feel it as a human. You
Yeah.
feel it. And
Yeah.
what I will encourage people, once you start to have that feeling, do not doubt yourself, right? Listen to your inner self, because that's important. Don't force yourself to be, you know, among people where you're not welcome, so to speak. And that's the evil people I'm talking about, right? So you will know all of that. They actually show no remorse for anybody at all. They will do any and anything to be at the top, right? Think about it, right? We have seen things happening right in the States, even big politician people, right? All of that. We have to mention name here. We
Right.
do not want to make, anything, worse or make it political here, but we will see all of that happening, right? They basically, the evil people, they do not take responsibility for their action. They will blame somebody else. It happens in the workplace all the time. Usually people blame the newer people, right? Or blame the student. But at the end of the day, they will blame somebody else. So that's in a nutshell there. That's how you find out that there are evil people out there. These are the things. So if you are, among people that behave this kind of way, where they're fully taking control, if it happens in, and like we talked about earlier, if it happens in a household as well too, you want to be mindful of that as well too, right? And we'll talk more as we go along. So that's my response there. And I know it's a lot, but something to think about.
Absolutely. Do you think you could have um, a brother or sister, a mother or a father who can be evil against with each other?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, unfortunately, family is not always blood, right? And I mean, we have seen situation where families, are not getting along together. And for those of you who are watching, if you know of anybody that way, we're not pointing fingers on anybody here. I don't know of anybody, who has a perfect life, so to speak, but it happens. Unfortunately, it happens. For whatever the reason is, it has a lot to do with jealousy as well, to things that we talked about,
Right, right.
on previous shows and stuff of that kind. But absolutely, as we talked about earlier, it's happening within our circle. And usually anything we want to tackle, we have to start, right? Look into the mirror, look into our own small circle before we start to point fingers at other people. Absolutely, can. It happens in the family circle.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree with you. I mean, like I said, I'm going to be the devil's advocate as the host. You've said it correctly, and I not too long ago, about a couple of years ago, being a talk show host would help me a lot because I have to read, and when I'm talking to people like you, I want to be able to have a good dialogue, if you know what I mean, a good conversation, and to bring the best out of you. Until a couple of years ago, like I would go to places, I will feel bad, but I'll sit down and eat and so on. But I am so glad that I'm at the stage now that if I know that you treat me bad all these times, and my heart is telling me, gut feelings is telling me, I am not welcome at that table. That when I get up, you're going to talk I'm fat or I eat too much. Um, these kind of things. I am not coming to your place no more. I'm not going to force myself coming because you're my aunt or my uncle or my brother and sister. If I don't feel that welcome at the table, I am not coming to your place to sit down and eat to break bread with you. I think that makes me a hypocrite if I come and sit down with you and eat. And when I gone, like, one time I was someplace, I was visiting, and I was visiting two people, and someone had mentioned to me, um, make sure they go eat out all the people food, you know. And I felt bad. I was like, and this is the kind of guy I am. If I come to your place and you offer me food, I mean, I'll eat a little bit, but I don't expect you to go back and tell people, "Oh, can taste piece of this and piece of that." And like I said, I'm being the devil's advocate. So one has to be very careful, um, you know. And it is important too, and talk about this. We get misconstrued sometimes. We only pay attention to what people say. We don't pay attention to the things what people are not saying.
Absolutely. Thank you for highlighting that again, as I mentioned earlier.
Yes, yes.
Extremely crucial, right? Because we live in a world, digital world, right? Where information is being thrown to us constantly. We cannot keep up with information is being thrown to us, obviously, right?
Right,
None
right,
of us have enough time to read or try to do the things and everything that we want to do. We don't have time for it, right?
right,
But
right,
absolutely, if there's one thing people can walk away with from today's discussion, please start to pay attention to the things that people are not saying in any kind of situation, even the news, right? When you're watching news, and I mean, I hardly watch news on the TV, but when I do watch, I actually listen to the things that they're not saying, because there are a lot of things that they're not saying,
right,
right?
right, right.
And so we have to be careful about. For example, here in Canada, they're not talking much about the coronavirus, right? But I
Right,
receive emails every day from the school that
right.
my daughter goes to, and I
Yeah,
see the numbers, and I said to myself, this is interesting, right? Because nobody talks about it anymore, kind of thing, right? So we have to be very mindful of that. So this is one of the things that I'm hoping that people will kind of start to do, right? If you realize that they're not talking about certain things, because keep in mind too, when you're in a session, for a second, let's talk about a little bit of a professional thing here. So let's
right,
say, I'm in a counseling session. I'm with somebody, with a client, right? They might not be saying anything for the 5 minutes there. So what do I do there? Do I just assume that they're just shy, and we end the session there, right? By them not saying anything at all, they're probably saying more than if
right.
they were to actually start to speak, right? So
Yeah, yeah,
that's how we have to kind of start to kind of look at things now. Absolutely, very, very important. So if nobody reach out to me and say, Narine, I'm in a desperate need, you know what? Usually some people do, will reach out, but let's say nobody has been reaching out to me most recently. That will actually concern me, because I'm aware that some people don't have jobs. I'm aware that people can barely make ends meet. So if people are not reaching out to me, that is of concern to me. I cannot say, oh, everything is fine, everything is going fine, nobody's reaching out to me, right? That's when we have to start to act, really, right? Very important.
yeah, yeah. Pay attention to what people are saying. Um, let's go to our next question to Narayan, and then we'll play another song. Um, and I know I probably jumped the gun after, but how do we deal with all these people who, especially when it's in our family dynamics and our jobs? People, for example, if it's somebody who I I will rub shoulder with one or two times, I said, goodbye. I'm not going to see you. It's not interested. What about when it's in your own family, your mother, your father, your brother and sister, who you have to rub shoulders with? How on your workplace? How do we deal with these people?
And just speaking, I mean, you kind of really hit it on the nail in terms of the question there.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, think about it. When it happens in the workplace, we spend a lot of time in the workplace. Now, maybe it's a little bit different. I still work from home. But the
Mhm.
reality is, if it happens, in the workplace, you do not want to give people power. What they're doing, they're really taking advantage, of people who really are not able to see and recognize their own power. So if we are able to recognize our own power, then we will not allow it to happen in the first place, right? We will represent ourselves, and we will represent it well. If you find that, it comes to a point that you are doing your bits and pieces. I mean, you cannot live your rest of the life like this. I mean, you still have to do the basic pieces of try to be a good problem solver and all those kinds of pieces, right? And if it's a work setting, it will be different than if it's in a family circle, right? If it's a family circle, you just kind of do it whatever way that works for you. But when it comes to the workplace now, there are certain structured way that we must
Correct.
follow,
Right,
right?
right,
And
right.
so you want to make sure that I mean, if you need and like your job, you want to make sure you follow all the procedure, right?
Right.
Right, you cannot come to any kind of conclusion as well to go through the steps, talk to your supervisor and so on. But at the
Right.
end of the day, you cannot mingle with somebody if you're not feeling safe and comfortable and part of that team and so on, right? If you are there and you're not feeling yourself, then you definitely want to kind of step back a little bit. And if it comes to a point that you have to just withdraw and move yourself to a different department or so on, I think it's worth it. Actually, people don't leave actually a job just like that. They leave it for those kinds of reasons, right? When it
Right.
comes to the family portion, I mean, at the end of the day, we cannot change people, right? Sometimes
Right.
people can grow up having a decent life all along, years after years. Doesn't matter how many siblings they have all together. But sometimes,
Mhm.
things happen when you get married. Sometimes the parents don't like the daughter-in-law don't like the parents and all of that. And they can be a little bit of a mixed up happening there, right?
Mhm.
There's a reason why we talk about before. It is okay for everybody to have their space, for parents to have their space, daughter-in-law to have their space, everybody to have their space. That doesn't mean that you don't have love for them. You have love for them. That's one of the reasons you're giving them their own space in the first place, right?
Mhm.
But I mean, you cannot change anybody at the end of the day. If people, but at the end of the day, it's okay to have that conversation, though, right? In whatever way that works, right?
Right.
If it's in your family circle, and if it's an older person and so on, if the person is not fully there mentally in terms of understanding all the technical term and so on, you do not have to use any kind of fancy technical term, but it's okay to let them know, what their action affects you, it affects people around the circle, right? They will
Mhm.
have to know. It could be that the person think that this is normal, right? But we have to kind of let them know that, what, this is not okay. When you do that, when you behave in a certain way, when you talk about certain things, this is how we feel, right? It doesn't have to be, like I said, in a structural way when you talk when it comes to family circle, but definitely you cannot ignore it, because if you ignore it, right, then nothing happens, right? That's for sure.
You know, and I'm glad you're talking that. And you mentioned today, I truly believe, and I think I have a good instinct for that, is we must follow our gut feelings. A lot of times we don't go with the laws of nature, and we say our inner core is telling us, be careful of this person or be careful of this situation, and we tend to bypass that and don't pay attention. And I want to tell people, like you said, pay attention to your gut feelings. A lot of times your gut feelings is leading you to the right thing, right? um,
Oh yes, yes, I agree with you exactly, absolutely. So don't ignore your inner voice. Basically, is what Ken is saying there, right? And
right,
that goes for anything, right? You will know in your heart, the direction you should go in life, right? And that goes for anything, right? Even finding your niche and even finding your purpose in life. It's all within you, really. You just have to pay attention to yourself, right? Pay
right.
attention to what that inner voice is saying, and that really will lead you to the right path for sure. Absolutely.
And I'm glad you're saying that too. I do a lot of interviews when the day come. Every day I do, with my patients, and some of the patients I have, they do drugs, they have psych issues, they steal, they murder, and so on. So I have to know, and I'm learning. I'm still in a learning phase. I mean, I've worked with them a long time, but to see some of the things that they hear, some of the things that they're saying, and to see their behavior, and then I will have to know, and you have to come into, you have to be prudent to make sure you pick up the things that they are not saying. So I want to tell our viewers, you must follow your inner feelings. In fact, as a psych nurse, I'm telling you this, I'm just using this. Whenever I'm dealing with a psych patient and my gut feeling is telling me, stay far from this patient, he can hit you. As we all know that psych patients, sometimes they can be unpredictable. Uh, Stay far away from them. Like I was doing an admission a couple days ago, and one patient came in and I had to tell him, no, I can't take you in, And so what happened? my inner core was telling me, move, don't stay near to this guy because he can hit me. And I just, because we had other staff, I just left. But I was the one who was bringing the bad news. So I decided, you know what, let me get out of this guy way before he start want to beat me or fight with me or something. You know what I'm saying? So this is why I always listen to my gut feelings. Let's listen to a nice song, and when we come back, we will get more into the conversation. All right?
Absolutely.
Natural music, yeah. No, I never been someone shy until I seen your eyes. Still I had to try, yeah. Oh yes, let me get my words right and then approach you. When I treat you like a man is supposed to, you'll never have to cry. No, I know everyone can relate to when they find a special someone. And she's royal, yeah, so royal. And I want her in my life. I never knew anyone so one of a kind. No, the way she moves to her own beat. She has the qualities of a queen. She's a queen. Ooh, ooh, what a natural beauty. No need to makeup to be a cutie. She's a queen. She's a queen. And when they ask what a good woman's made of, she's not afraid and ashamed of who she is. She's royal, yeah, so royal. And I need her in my life. I never knew anyone so one of a kind until the night that I see your eyes. My queen, so sweet. I can see in her eyes the way she smiles. Yes, I know the king and queen crown same time. So I never leave your side. Just stick with me through the trial times. She says she no mind. Alright, I know good man is hard to find. Cause she telling about that giant line. That's why she has no ties at this time. Yeah, I know many men are trying, but she needs to be more than wine and dine because she's royal, yeah, so royal, and I want her in my life. I never knew anyone so divine. The way she moves to her own feet. She has the qualities of a queen, so supreme. Ooh, ooh, what a natural beauty. No need no makeup to be a cutie. She's a queen, so supreme. Yeah. And when they ask what a good woman's made of, she's not afraid and ashamed of who she is. She's royal, yeah, so royal. And I want her in my life. I never knew anyone so one of a kind. No, no, the way she moves to her own beat. She has the qualities of a queen. That's right, that's right, that's right. That's for all our Nubian queen that's tuned in the radio station now. And I want to say special welcome to what's her name? Let me see. For the first time, I'm seeing her name. Her name is Desiree Simmons. Very good afternoon to you, and welcome to the Ken Rampersaud Show, which airs every Sunday afternoon from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Also, Narine Dat is a talk show host in Canada. He's on the air quite often too. When he come on, he will tell you guys what he does on this show, but he does cover a whole lot of topics. So I encourage you guys to watch him. He is a registered social worker in Canada. Also, he's one of the Guyanese, and he don't like to get all his props, but he's one of the Guyanese who received over 200 awards for his work in Canada. So I'm always happy and proud to have him, and I know all of you guys love him. Let's see, we have Rowena Lal. Thank you very much. Also, guys, I want to tell you that we are doing a fundraiser in Guyana here for some work that I'll be doing in Guyana, and for all of us who's doing the work. No, I don't want to say I, because it's all of you guys who are donating to make this happen. There was a lady in Guyana who started. She got a house and she could afford to finish the house, so I'm helping her. We have already raised over $1,000. We got probably close to $2,000. But I want to say thanks to all of you guys who are donating, who are buying ticket. My sister in Canada, she's helping me selling tickets. Anita Ish Dawlatram. Also, we have Ravindra who donated, and I know I just like to say people who do good things. Ravindra donated actually $150 toward this project. To Ryan Lala, thank you very much. To you have donated $250. Guys, please don't feel any way that I'm mentioning your names. I just want to let you guys know that this world, there is still good people inside of it. Talking about that, I want to tell you a story happened just a couple of days ago. I didn't really want to say, but I got to tell you. Someone was hearing me talking about a project that I'm doing in Guyana, and he don't have money. He's poor, he's broke, he's homeless. And I was not talking to him. I was talking to someone else. And he heard when I was talking to the person, and he said to me, he knows me very well because I've always be good and kind to him. And he said, Ram, I want to help you. I said, no, it's okay. It's fine. He said, I want to donate towards your cause. And I said, no, I can't do that. I wouldn't take any money from you. You don't have money. You're poor. You're homeless. He said, you know what? If you say that, it makes me really feel bad. If I don't get to give you any money, I'm going to feel bad. And he donated $10 towards the cause in Guyana. And I got to tell you, that $10 feel like $1 million that I receive with so much sentiment in me. And so thank you so much. And this world has a lot of good people. And let's continue. I know, and it's on my mind all the time, that a lot of people only like to hear bad things, the bad things that people are doing. I want to tell the good things that people are doing. Oh yes, I do talk about the bad things that people do sometimes, but I want to be the guy that talks about the good things that people do, how people have influenced my life, how people are helping me to make other people's dreams alive. And if I get a dollar, I am satisfied to help someone. So when I head to Guyana, I want to, there are a couple of things I'm working towards helping with this house. I also want to acknowledge some nurses in Guyana for the work that they're doing at the Georgetown Hospital. And if I get enough money, the Lenora Cottage Hospital and the West Demerara Regional Hospital, to acknowledge some nurses who work there, who give a lot of services, and to let them know that someone is watching to help improve nursing care in Guyana. As we all know, there are so many babies and mothers, infant death in Guyana. I really want to help see if we could bring that number down to save mother and child and children, and to see how best we can do it. And so all of you guys, Rowena, thank you, Rowena. I even sent some tickets to Rowena Lal in Canada. She's going to help me sell it. Another guy wrote me from Canada, and he says he wants to help me. So he went to Staples, buy some tickets, and he's going to sell it and send me the money. So the world is full of good people. We just have to believe. And you know what? Too bad that, sometimes people don't want to give. When we all learn, it's always good to give. And today I had a good conversation with someone, and and everybody knows her. And she said to me, Ken, I'm doing all the things that I'm doing now because of my afterlife. I don't know if it's going to help me when I die. And we all know, all the book says to be good, to be kind. And you don't have to be kind to me. You can be kind to somebody else. You can buy them a coffee. You can give them 25 cents. I talk about that. I was just passing in the street. I normally don't do these things, but I see 5 cents, right? and I pick it up and I put it towards my donation on the street. I saw the other day someone threw out about $4.80 in bottles, right? And I pick it up. I went. I put on the gloves, and I pick up all those bottles, and I put them in my car. They in my car. I'm going to take them to the store. I'll get 5 cents each for one. When I count them up, I'll get close to $5. It's going to go towards our project in Guyana. So we can make a difference. All we got to do is put our pride away and see how best we can do. So let's talk. Let's continue our discussion. Who is more evil, my friend? Is it men? I know people will laugh when they hear this one. Is it men or women? Um, who is really evil? Take it
Yes,
away.
yes, and so that's a good question. I mean, obviously, it happens in both, male and female, but study shows that men are more
Really?
evil. Yes, I was surprised, by the way. Don't take it personally, ladies, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I
I was
wouldn't. I
very
wouldn't take it.
surprised. And this goes, very broad, right? They're referring
Right.
to issues, in the workplace. Think about it. A few years ago in the United States, did you guys not remember when Donald Trump said to Hillary Clinton that, you should be ashamed of yourself, that, you're going to go behind bars and all of that, right? And so a lot of men actually will abuse their power, really, right?
Yes.
Because they have that evilness in them. And for those of you who are Donald Trump supporters, this is not about politics here. I was just using this as an example. So don't
Right,
send me
right.
an email or saying, right, like, what are you talking here?
Yeah,
But the
yeah, yeah.
study showed that men, and so what that means is, Ken, you and I have lots of work to do here. We have to make sure that we look into that mirror and we
Right.
start to make those changes, right? Because change starts with us. So to the ladies, do know that we are working on that. And so we will try to be better version of ourselves. And so that does mean that women, don't have the evilness in them. Women, they have their own kind of, things happening sometimes. The study shows that, like, I mean, generally speaking, people want to be better than each other, right? That's a human thing. That's a natural thing. It is not a sin or anything of that kind, right? But we cannot overdo it. But at the end of the day, to answer your question, it is men that are more
Really?
evil, right? Think about it, right? We see constantly abuse, and it goes both ways, obviously, where women are abusing men too. But the bottom line
Right.
is the percentage is way high when it comes to men abusing, right? So it comes to all of that evilness there too, right? And that's when you see, like, all of these things happening in the in the West Indian side of things, Guyana, Trinidad, and all that, because it's more than just the jealousy piece where we don't want him or her in our circle, right? That evilness, it does a lot of damages, in the community, right? It really break down, a family structure, that a whole community structure and all of that. So yes, so it looks like, men, we have lots of work to do here.
Wow. You know, wow, wow. I was surprised about that because I thought it was women. But one of the things that and I'm glad you said we have work to do. Narayan, as I said, and a lot of times I say to my own self, you know what? How can I improve my own self as a human being? You know what I'm saying? And I always look at, like you said, look in the mirror and see where I can. There is some hurdles I have to get over, and I'm working hard to get over those hurdles. Like I said, I'm human being like everybody else. But sometimes I have to learn to do, like some of us, is to let things don't bother me. And sometimes I lash out with that when I hear things that's untrue, or I see unfairness. I get really upset, and I have to find a way how to see when people are not fair, how to deal with people who are not fair. To be very honest with you, and it really annoys me. But that's a topic we need to talk about. With favoritism and all these kind of things. So we will talk about that. The other thing is, my next question to you is, I'm very glad I see. Ryan Lala says, Smokey is very more. Yeah, that's my parrot that's ringing a bell at the background. He wants my attention. If you guys hearing a bell, that's my parrot. I'll have to take that out from him. I see my very good friend Nadia Mulchan is watching all the way from Barbados. She is a Guyanese, but she is working in Barbados as a registered nurse. She's also a registered nurse and a midwife. Sage Black, a very good evening to you. Elizabeth Lowe, my very good friend in Guyana. Elizabeth, I hope I could see you when I'm in Guyana. Elizabeth is always sharing my show. She's always supporting me, which is a good thing. And I really do appreciate you, all of you who share my show. I really appreciate it, who watch my show. Marna Stobie, a very good afternoon and welcome to the Ken Rampersaud Show. Like I said, we airs every Sunday afternoon from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. and on Monday evening with my co-host Radhika Ularti, the actress Brown Sugar, who acted in Brown Sugar Too Bitter for Me. Missy Boo, a very good evening to you. Thank you very much. I know you will be making a donation towards my little project. Genevieve saying a very good evening to you. And I know I beg for all these guys. We fall into the category where we are the one who's most evil. Who give Adam the apple to eat? All right. What can I tell you? Rowena, good evening to you too. Let's see, Rowena, did you mail my? Yeah, I mailed your tickets, and I'm not sure what's going on with your ticket, Rowena. Probably tomorrow you should get it. If not, I'll probably tell you to run to one of them stores and buy some tickets. But I know I'm not worried about you. You got that. So, how do we know? What are some of the signs do we watch for in our family or friends? Workplace, those people who we say that's evil, those who are wicked, those who want to see us fall, those who want to get us in trouble.
Absolutely. And so while we are at it, it is important for us to pay attention to the signs, right? And so there are lots of different signs. And like we mentioned earlier, it will be coming from family circle, from friends, co-workers, all of that, the religious folks and all of that, right? So basically some of the signs will be things like, people who try to twist, right? People who try to twist the truth to fit their agenda, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that will be one sign, right? Because we have a lot of smart people watching the show here, so they will be able to figure that out, right?
Right.
The people who kind of withhold information, to get things their way, right?
Yeah.
All of that you want to be mindful of, right? The people who kind of try to mislead other people just to support them, right? All of these things happening, and so we have to be careful and we have to be mindful and we have to pay attention that it's happening, and these are the signs, right? The people the evil people. Another sign will be something like where their lies is so sincere that when they say it, it's like it sounds
Some
as
of the
if
truth.
they're telling the truth. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
pay attention to that, because their lies sounds and seems so natural kind of thing, right? They basically they don't feed they don't feel bad. Basically, they do not feel bad by making you feel bad. They feel good about it. So that's another sign, right? They basically will blame other people at all costs. They will blame other people for their own wrongdoings. All of that are good signs, and these are things that we have seen before. This is not anything new, right? But we have to be mindful and careful of it, because if we kind of ignore it, then things can get really can get out of hand, and it can affect us mentally. You can have broken relationship, whether that be in a family, whether that be the work and so forth, right? So all of those signs, right? People who love to have control when it comes to everything and don't give other people any sort of opportunity kind of thing. They take that full control, right? So all of those signs we have to be mindful of, and so I hope that people kind of be conscious of it.
And how do you know? And I think a little judgment coming here, which we will have to judge. Yes. How do we know whether someone is really genuine or they are evil?
Well, keep in mind, the people who are evil, they enjoy the misfortune of other people, right? So
Mhm.
that will be one way to tell if they're genuine or evil. They will enjoy and they will kind of be all glad, right? If you're successful, they wouldn't want that, right? They actually will they will even do dishonest things, right? Just so that you fall long, so to speak, right? They actually will feel very strange. They will feel strange in one sense to be around you, but keep in mind, you will be even more uncomfortable being around them too, right? So that's how you will be able to tell the difference between a genuine person and a person who is evil. Keep in mind, a true person will be there for you when you really need help. Let's say you're in a desperate need of something. Let's say you lost everything, your material things, and you lost your relationship, and you lost hope in life, right? Your supporters will be there for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those are the genuine ones, right? They will
Right.
be there at all costs. They will
Yes.
put their life on hold to be there. That's how you will tell, these are genuine people. But let's say
Right.
you don't have anything to offer now. You're not able to take with friends to the fancy restaurant. You're not able to, do all the extra pieces that you have been doing because you end up having some, unfortunate situation in life. They will disappear, right? That's when you will know that those are the fake ones, right? Those are the evil people. So those are the things to kind of be mindful of. That's for sure, right? Um, they're very cruel people, right? You will know people that are cruel, right? You will know based on how they're saying things, based on how doing things, right? Once you see that cruelness in them, you know that what this is not genuine people. Genuine people will stick with you right up to that. Even in a relationship, I'm talking about a marriage relationship, whether that be a man and a woman, whether that be two male, whether that be two female, because when people get separated, right? Sometimes people get married because of lust and not necessary love, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
when people are separated, because technically when you are together, you try to make things work, and you kind of carry on, right? I'm not talking about abuse and all of that, right? And when it comes to the point that what things can't work out, basic little things cannot work out, and you have to separate, it goes to show that your partner did marry you for love in the first place. They married you for
Mm-hmm.
lust. That's a whole different topic, anyways. But I'm just
Oh,
giving an
Lord.
example, right?
Yeah, yeah,
This
yeah.
whole evilness and this whole genuine thing really, comes down to our relationship as well too, because you are spending a lot of time with your partner, obviously, right? If you're married, common law, whatever, you spend a lot of time in the workplace. No difference. It's the same thing. If you messed up at your job, let's say I'm doing a report and I mess up the report so badly and so on, a good coworker will say to me, Narine, I realize you really messed up this report. I'm going to fix it up for you. Let's get this done. The deadline is tomorrow. That's a genuine person. But if they
Right.
see that and they kind of go to the higher boss and say, now,
Right.
guess
Right.
what? This is the report he's sending out here, right?
Right.
So
Right.
so all of that, you can tell the difference, right? So we have to be mindful of that.
And it's important too that we really pay attention to, especially our job, what we do and what we say, especially, and that could probably be another show how to deal with difficult bosses. And I know that you know about that. It's your area. What are some of the consequences of being evil, if there is any?
I mean, so the consequences really can be us facing that consequence, right? So it's not necessarily the evil person, because think about it, right? When somebody is evil, they don't really care. They don't care about their life. They don't really care about anything. Who is affecting the most? Is people like you and I are being affected the most. So the consequences can be, the surrounding, an unsafe environment because that person is there, right? Because sometimes the person might not be saying anything at all, but you just, it's just that, the environment, it's not going to be, a good conversation because the history of the person, right? If anything comes at all, because what's happening, right? When in a situation as such, not everybody has the guts or willpower to kind of, confront that person or get things addressed. A lot of people will kind of gossip, and we talk about gossip on a previous show. A lot of people
Right.
will gossip behind the person's back and say, "Oh, that Narayan, he always wants things his way and things of that kind," but they won't address it to him directly. And it could be as simple as us addressing the issue too, right? And so the consequences is mainly us being affected, not necessarily the person, because they have joy doing it. They enjoy it. They feel a sense of, of excitement. The ones that are doing it with a conscious mind. Not everybody does it with an unconscious mind. Some people probably are doing it because that's how they were brought up. It is a cultural norm and all of that. But at the end of the day, we suffer the most, unfortunately, right? And it can affect and break down people mentally big time, without any question. So that's the consequence, right? That's one reason we have to get it fixed. We
That's
have to address it, right? We have to take that power and take control, right? Because at the end of the day, we have control of our own lives. We have control of our action and all of that, right? And we cannot allow people to kind of affect us, right? Right. At the end of the day, that's how we should be, kind of thing, right? But not everybody can do that, and that's how when that breakdown happen, right? When it's at the end of the day, we are affected the most, unfortunately. So if there's such of a thing as a God, maybe there will be some sort of final judgment. Well, they will have to pay the price, right? But the thing is, we have to do our part now as we are here, right? So we do not wait. We just cannot say, oh, well, God will deal with him or her, right? We have to make sure we address that. If not, things can get really, really out of hand. That's for sure.
Narine, and I'm going to flip a little bit, flip the script a little bit in terms of my question, because when you talk there just now you know, about the hereafter a little bit in a technical way. Why aren't we not really, if we believe that there is a hereafter, or we believe that in reincarnation you're born to be a better person, why are we not aspire to do great things, to come back? And as from little kids, I've been hearing, oh, you can born to be a snake. Why don't you try to do things, in your opinion, to be come back as a good human being, than to be wicked and to be evil?
Well, ideally, the idea is not to come back. The idea is to go to the feet of God, so to speak, right? Kind of thing. But I got your point. So I
Right.
mean, but it has to do a lot with people's values, right? The way people were brought up. Think about it, right? People, not everybody is brought up that way, right? So they don't see value in certain things, right? If people, if they were brought up a certain way, they will kind of, do things, that are more meaningful and so forth. Having said that, though, that's still a little bit of a judgment on our end there, because we're not in their shoe, right? We don't, because sometimes, because the way I see it, because I grew up, in the mandir, I was an assistant priest and all of that. So I understand these things very, very importantly, right? But the thing is, sometimes a lot of people, will be so high in their connection to God that they see God in everybody, right? For me, for example, I see God in you. I see God in everybody. I believe God can take any form, right? And believe it or not, because of a homeless man, I'm a vegetarian. My life
Okay.
has changed because of a homeless man, right? Have I
Oh, really?
ignored that man came to me, asking me for $1? I would have not become a vegetarian, right? Kind of thing. And so I
Wow.
think people, and the way I see it, and to answer your question there, and to kind of see things how I view it, we do not necessarily, right? And I mean, I think the pandemic has taught us that. Like, because of the pandemic, right? Let's look at it this way. Because of the pandemic, every home was turned into a mandir, every home was turned into the church, every home was turned into a mosque, kind of thing, right? So a lot of people don't necessarily have to drive to go to a specific location to enjoy the feel of God, kind of thing, right? If you're able to make that connection, to see God anywhere and in everybody, I think that's a real deal of a real person to get closer to God and come and enjoy some really, really good things like this chat that we're having here, kind
Right.
of thing,
Right.
right? So
Yes.
that's how I see it. I think, and I don't want to discourage people here and so on, about this whole mandir thing. I think it's great. But when we go to those places, we have to go for the right reason, right purpose. Things have changed over the years, right? We don't need, maybe we'll have to do another show on that. I would love to do another show on that kind of thing. I've seen where when one set of the people go to the mandir, the other set wouldn't go. I've seen
Really.
I've seen situation where priests rape girls at the temple. I've seen situation where folks, they were fighting for girls and so on, and they
Wow.
throw another guy in the trunk and so on, all happening at the mandir. So what is
Really.
a mandir these days? I think that's the question, right? So for me personally, and this is just my personal opinion, I've experienced, personally, I've experienced miracles in my life twice. So I believe in a higher power. But for me,
Right.
the true church is in one's own heart. That's my personal opinion. I visit all the different mandirs. I don't really care if people pray to Allah, Jesus Christ. I believe like it's all one. It's just our way of kind of seeing things differently. If people want to go to the states, they can go by car, they can go by airplane, all of that. So that's a very interesting kind of thing there. So that's my response to that there. Ideally, it is a good therapy really to think of a higher power, because when everybody lost hope in you, right? Because your husband will lose hope in you, your wife will lose hope in you, your children will lose hope in you, your boss will lose hope in you. When everybody lost hope in you, you can at least go to your God and say, God, you know what? The only person I have now is you. Help me, kind of thing, right? So I agree with
Right,
you.
right.
But not everybody, is in that place, right? A lot of people is still in that dark spot. That's one of the reasons I always say to people, if somebody, dress sexy, where the I don't know, they're showing a little bit, top here, going to the temple and so on. Or if somebody's drunk going there, their skin is not, if they're not good looking and they're dirty, they're smelling and so on, we should not chase them out, right? Maybe they're looking for that hope, they're looking to change their lives, and we have that responsibility, right? We have that
Mm-hmm.
responsibility to kind of work with them and kind of put them in a better place, because they reach out to us, but it's just that they reach out in a different way. Maybe not in a way that we will reach out. I've seen situation where I went to Guyana and the pundit was saying to a young guy that, why are you sitting on that chair? Why not sit on the ground and give an older lady an opportunity to sit? That is nonsense, because that fella could not sit. He had physical disability. So all
Oh,
of this nonsense happening here. I know I got a little bit heated up here
I
because
see. That's all right.
it
That's all right.
is. It is. I've seen it all. It's a lot of things happening at the churches and so on. But to the people who are running churches and all of that, we appreciate you. It takes a lot of work. You're doing it without pay and all of that. I've seen situation where in New York City, very recently, people had to close the doors during the Navratri time. They could not even open the door. That's an example of poor management and so on, right? They wanted to do fancy stuff, did not have the money to do that. They did not want to open it up and do something small and so on. So it's another topic. It's another show. But ideally, thinking of a higher power is a beautiful thing. And so I think we now who see that, we have to teach our people, our followers, so that they can actually view things that way. But we have to respect them as well too.
So I'm gonna. I see your passion there.
We'll do a show
That's
on that.
okay.
I would love to do a show on that because
We can
I've
do
been there
another
from
show.
scratch.
Remind me
In
after the
fact,
show.
yeah, but one thing I have to say quickly on this topic here, one of the reasons too people probably get discouraged. I remember when I was a teenager, when I was performing the puja for people, I performed puja for hundreds of people without charging a penny. But one guy, he's dead now, by the way, he stand up and he said to me, as a child in the temple, he said to me, you cannot buy the seat of a Brahmin. He does
Oh
not
my!
know who I am. So he felt that I was not deserving to sit in that spot as a
Wow.
child. So think how damaging that is, right? As
Yes,
a child. But good thing I have a good head on my shoulder and that did not
that's right.
affect me. But just to give you an example, right? Maybe the reason why people are not going and stories are not being told. So that's my little story there for you.
That's all right. That's all right. I see some very special people watching. Like everybody's special in my on the show here. I want to welcome all of you for watching the show. Roger Carrington, a very good afternoon to you. Johnny Mangru, good afternoon. Cheryl George, a very good afternoon. Thank you very much for watching the show. Um, Bria said she would hope to hear that story from you sometime. Elizabeth Lowe, good afternoon again, my dear. I see Zelina Rahman, a very good afternoon to you. There is somebody else. Radhika Ularti, our star, the Brown Sugar star, is watching the show. Thank you very much. And don't forget tomorrow to join us on the from our hearts with Radhika and Ken on Island Zone Radio tomorrow, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. To my cousin Esteline Nepal, is watching. Thank you very much, my dear. I hope that you always watch this show. Rajendra Daniel Sadeo, good afternoon to you. Ryan says that often in a work environment is usually a competition. Sometimes the more someone climbs the ladder, may want to see them fall. Yes. Let's see. Eric Narine, a very good afternoon to you. Um, let's see. We have Sage Black says usually your supporters will compliment and encourage you through the most difficult times, and which is so true. Jerry Singh, a very good afternoon to you. My very good friend is watching. Sheila Mangar Singh is watching all the way from Suriname. Dharam Kelawan, a very good afternoon to you. Roy Lal, good afternoon. Thanks for your love and support. And good evening to Sheila Mangar Singh. Daniel, good evening. Hints, Lord, I don't know how to pronounce that word. Hints Zen, good afternoon. Ram Singh Plew, good afternoon. Bansi Prasad, a very good afternoon. And guys, if you want to make a donation towards our project in Guyana from our hearts with Radhika and Ken, you can Zell us the number 917 767-2248. Again, if you want to make a donation towards our project in Guyana, you can zell us at 917-767-2248. Let's go with a nice song. This song is for all of you beautiful viewers who's watching, real Guyana tune.
Well, there was a man with 16 chickens and all refused to leave. So he went and buy a big red rooster. When the chickens see the rooster, they suddenly gone mad. He could see them chasing round and round the yard. They could see the rooster running, 16 sexy chickens chasing him round and round the corner. They could see the rooster running, 16 sexy chickens chasing him. One in the morning, run, rooster, Mr. Go Kyoko, run, rooster, Mr. Go Kyoko, run, rooster, Mr. Go Kyoko, run, rooster, Mr. Go Kyoko. Man, the rooster galloping, keep moving very fast. 16 chickens really have it going. Finally, they call him and the field to let him pass. Stand up. If you hear it blowing, I can see the rooster running. 16 sexy chickens chasing him round and round the corner. If you see the rooster running, 16 of them imagine. Don't ever bother. Run, Mr. Go Kyoko, run, Mr. Go Kyoko, run, Mr. Go Kyoko, run, Mr. Go Kyoko. When they dropped the mister and they started advancing, we have not seen a rooster since October. We will treat you nice and bring you food, you will live just like a king. The history books will call you the chicken Casanova. When you see the rooster running, 16 of them and they're chasing him, run around the corner. If you see the rooster running, 16 sexy fowl and they're chasing him, before they were border. Run, Mr. Go Kyoko, run, Mr. Go Kyoko, run, Mr. Go Kyoko, run, Mr. Go Kyoko. 6 o'clock next morning, well, they had a funeral. 16 chickens crying in the place. If you see the rooster and the Prince of Madrigal lying in the coffin with a big smile on his face. When you see the rooster running, 16 sexy chickens chasing him round around the corner. If you see the rooster running, 16 sexy chickens chasing him, you don't ever bother. Run, Mr. Go Kyoko, 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 run.
Welcome back to the Ken Rampersaud Show here on Island Zone Radio. And I got to tell you, listening to this song, no matter how much time we hear this song, it never gets old. I could hear it all the time. I love the rhythm of this song. Also, again, like I said, thank you very much for watching the Ken Rampersaud Show here on Island Zone Radio, which airs every Sunday afternoon from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I know the time is same in Guyana. So, guys, please share with your friends, share with your family. We have different topics, talk about hypertension, diabetes. We do interviews with people like Narine Dat, who is our guest today from Canada. He's a social worker and has a wealth of knowledge in dealing with the homeless and helping people find jobs and so on. He has over 200 awards in Canada I think he probably have more awards than a lot of people in around the world. I thought I had a lot, but he surpassed me, and I'm happy for him. Which I want to say I'm not evil, so that's good. We have to happy for each other. We must embrace each other and help people to grow, not pull them down. When you see people climbing up the ladder, you want to pull them up. That does not say good things about you. You know. So Narine, that welcome back again. We want to talk about, is it okay to be evil with people, to go tit for tat?
I mean, ideally, I mean, at the end of the day, of course, right? It is not okay to, to be evil, but, believe it or not, it works short term for a lot of people, and you will see this in a lot of politicians. I'm a politician as well, too, right?
Right,
But I
right,
guess what I meant is that what people will do, um, people will find a way to kind of do, do whatever they need to do to make things work for them. We have seen the corruption in Guyana when they had election. For those of you who were following along will know that Guyana suffered that 5 months, mentally and so many different ways. People fight for democracy and so on because evil people were trying to steal that election, right? And so it will work for some people short term. In the States, the same thing. We have seen that, right? Where a lot of politicians, I mean, here in Canada, it happens too. It happens to you, and I'm speaking from experience. The fact that I've ran a few times, I've seen things from the inside, and there is a reason why. For the very first time in history here where I live, in our small region, we have over 500,000 people in our region here. I ran as an independent. Never happened in history before. The reason for that is because all of the evilness that I was seeing in the parties did not fit with my personal values. And so I actually stepped back and say, you know what? I can't be this evil person there to kind of do this and do that and put other people down and all of that because I have a soft heart. I know that I'm not perfect, but I know that I have a soft heart, right? And so I could not, be that evil guy there just for the sake of being at the top or having more votes and all of that, right? And so it will work for a lot of people short term though, because we live in that kind of world, right? Where people will step on each other. It happens all the time. People will step on each other for that extra power. People will step on each other in the workplace, just to have that better position. Right? It happens all the time, but it is not okay. I can tell you that right now. It is not okay. We know it's not okay. It's very damaging. Not only for a small amount of individuals, right? But it goes beyond that because think about it. If you go to work and if people are really, you have one or two evil people who are really making your life difficult, when you come home, right? It doesn't stop there, right? It things will trigger you to kind of respond differently and all of that. Your partner or kids might not understand why you're behaving a certain way, and it has that kind of effect, right? So it is not okay, but it works, and it works for some people, and that's basically the people who want that control, right? And so in long
good.
term, it wouldn't pay off in long term though. Do
Long
know
term,
that though. Absolutely
good,
not.
good. So, yeah, um, and I agree with you. You know what? It only go for a long time. Scampishness, as we said in
Yes.
our Guyanese talk, being lying, cheating. It doesn't last a long time,
Mhm.
And I'm so glad that I am not into those kind of behavior. You know what I'm saying? I know years ago I used to tell one to lie here and there. I don't think I'm at that stage now where I have to lie for little simple things. I be honest and speak the truth and believe. And I think that's why you and I have really done well in terms of you in Canada. I am in the United States. That's why we've get so much trust in our viewers and so on, where they believe in us. And I really want to, and I'm trying my very best to keep it that way, where people can believe in you and where you can just do the right thing. Let's talk a little bit. Let's see what we have. Let's say hello to the man, no Janjat, Mr. Shabir Baksh. Welcome to the Ken Rampersaud Show here on Island Zone Radio. And I want to tell you thank you so much for his group. He runs a group, No Janjat, on Facebook. And I want to tell you thank you so much for allowing my show, to approving my show to show on your group. I know it's a popular group. Again, No Janjat, guys. It's a popular group on Facebook, and you can always join his group. Again, welcome, Mr. Shabir Baksh. Godfrey Grinion, a very good afternoon to you. Paul Rutners, a very good afternoon to you. It's good to have you on. Nalini, Anita says, no, we shouldn't stoop low like these evil people. Instead, do better. Maybe they will learn something from them. And I got to tell you, reading Ish, Anita story, and probably you can tell me, I don't think that a lot of times that people will learn from you being kind and you being good. I think so, for a lot of people, especially older folks, these things are embedded in them, and it's hard for you to instill any kind of values on people. On the other hand, I have to ask you, and you can give me your input and thing. Do you think that you should instill your values in people?
Oh no. So so that's a very good and interesting question. Obviously,
Right, right,
obviously, I mean, it's important for us to guide people and and along the right path and things of that kind, and set good example, right?
right,
But that we should never attempt at any point put our values on somebody else. Because keep in mind, the things that are meaningful to me, the things that are important to me. There's a good chance it means nothing to you and things of that kind. So we have to be mindful of that, right? Very, very important. Even if we talk about the value and importance of the spirituality piece or the higher power piece, so to speak, right? Even if somebody say to me, that they do not believe in God and so on, we have to still respect that. In fact,
right,
I
right.
did I did a research, and people can do it if they so choose. The richest man, I'm not here to promote any rich man here, but the richest person on earth right now does not believe in God. He believes in
Really?
science more than that. Believe in God. He does not
Mhm.
condemn, Christ or anything and so forth. But he does not believe in God, and so that's again, that's another show. So again, we have to respect his values and so on. Never at any point, even when we work with clients, and all of this, Ken, but I know this is more for our viewers.
Right,
Even
right.
when we are in a counseling session and we are with clients, sometimes I feel like to take my professional hat off and kind of say, well, let's do this and let's do it now. Like I feel that
Right,
way, right? But the
right.
bottom line is, if people are not ready for change, and if they say to me, Narine, the best choice for me right now is to live in that street, in that box, then we have to respect that. That's the bottom line. Because if I say to him, you know what, well, here you go, here's a house, here's a key, free food and so on, it might not be what he wants. It means I'm putting my values on him. Just like when people come from Guyana, right? People come from Guyana, right? Some people, they might not like it here in North America. And we might say, you know what? How come he's kind of like it here? We have a beautiful home here, free food, free that. We take him to all the expensive restaurants and so on. But those people probably are very comfortable walking bare feet and drinking and walking around and so on too, and so on. So my thing is, never, whether or not if it fits with our values, we should never put our values on other people. But we should live our life in such of a way that we are setting good example and we are continuously become champion, right, for other people. That's what I support, right? So when I receive emails and people say, Narine, I want to be like you, they do not necessarily want to be like me. All they're saying that I want to have a decent life, right? But I get their point, right? Because nobody can be like me, nobody can be like you, but never put our values on other people. That's my take on that.
And that goes to for me, like I've always aspired to always live a better life tomorrow than yesterday. I want my tomorrows must be better, and to make better decisions. But like I said, and I did my own test with that. Where you have people come from Guyana and they live in the States, and you want, sometimes you want the best for people, that what you think is the best, but sometimes in their opinion is not the best for them. So to go ahead.
No, 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 you go ahead. No, you go ahead.
So
Go ahead. I'll respond
in
when you're done. Go ahead.
in order to ease the heartache and pain, you just have to meet people halfway. And it's a good saying, and the old people always say in Guyana, and I know we have most Guyanese watching, um, they say you could take the pig out of the mud, but you can't take the mud out of the pig. And so I hand the mic over to you. What you want to say?
So, I mean, obviously, the pig will be much happy with that mud, big,
Right.
and sometimes I question myself too, because in my mind, and that's the thing, like when the homeless guy came to me in our beautiful Kitchener downtown. I was going for lunch, and the fella approached me and he asked me for $1. And have I gave him the dollar, I would have fulfilled his desire, and then that would have been it. So I
Right.
point to a restaurant and I said to him, "Let's go there because I wanted to hear more. I want to hear his story. I want to
Story,
understand
right.
why is it that he is in that desperate need. I wanted to meet him where he's at, so to speak, right?" And I said, "You know what? I need to pay attention here."
Right.
And when I pointed to the restaurant, the guy said no, that he is a vegan. He does not eat meat.
Oh, really? Right. More money too,
Yes,
right?
yes. And then the fella took me to introduced me to a vegan restaurant that I had no idea existed, right? And
Right,
then
right.
I came home and I told my wife that I wouldn't eat meat anymore. And
Really?
so on. My wife said to me, like, "You must be crazy because you love your KFC," things like
Right,
that,
right,
right?
right, right.
I became a, I'm sharing this story for a purpose, right? The thing is, it's not what we want for people, and that's something I have to continuously be mindful of when I'm serving clients, right? Because obviously it is tempting for me to say to them, "You know what, you need to be in school, you're only 18 years old," and
Right,
so on.
right,
It's tempting, right? That's what we say. But
right.
we are not there to solve the problem of the clients. Technically, they're there to solve their own problems. We are just there to kind of guide them, because
Right.
what good am I doing when I put my values on them, right? They
Mhm.
have to make sure that they have to be ready, right? As long as we, we give them the right tools and so on. But absolutely, very mindful we have to be of that. That's for sure. So
Absolutely.
the pig story here, so true. We cannot, right? The pig will be very comfortable, and that's the thing, right? If a person live all their life in Guyana, they're accustomed to have a chat with their neighbors and things of that kind, very, very healthy and so on. When they come here now, right, wintertime, they're all locked up, looking after grandkids and so on. It is one of the most mental damaging things, can happen. But when they go back to Guyana and they see some, color hair and so on, and it's like, "Yeah, you look really good," right? But inside, not so much good, right? But
Right, right.
like us, like me, like I wouldn't want to go back to live to Guyana. I'm established over here, but I'm just giving an example. That's me. But that might not be the same thing for other people, right? So we have to be mindful of that. Absolutely.
And looking at all of that too, I got to tell you, while we had some people who, came and they never, there's a word I'm looking for, they never get accustomed to that kind of lifestyle. I've seen so many older Guyanese came and dress up nice and go to parties and look good and they look like film star. Them some of them. No, please, I'm not being judgmental. Some nice old lady man. You tell me them look nice, right? With a gold bag and gold dress and hair well done and everything. So, and for me, right, I say that you know what, this is what all human being is about, is to being able to adapt to whatever situation you get into. You talk about young people, and I always believe that education. You and I know that education is the key, really, in this world. I think that's the basic foundation that we should give any one of our children. But like we said before, it all depends on the children if they want to go get an education or not. Go ahead.
Yes, and I have
I'm
to
reading
add.
you.
I have to
I'm
add to
reading
that.
you. Mm,
Yes, that's good. I like that. That's why we can get along well. You
yeah.
brought up such of an important point, and it's worth me adding to it because it's happening and people are not aware. So it's still happening where parents, obviously, I'm a parent. I have two girls. I want the best for them. I want them to be
Right.
educated and smart. Natural thing for parents. And I think students that focus in school, that's what I think, right? But, anyways, we have people coming into Canada here, where, their parents are investing in them to go to school, they're paying and all of that,
Right. Right.
from India and whatnot and so forth. What's happening though, those children, those kids, I say kids, they're still young, fairly young,
Right. 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 Right.
they don't necessarily want to be an engineer. They don't necessarily want to do a mathematician type of thing, right? They want to be themselves. They want to do different things. They want to do designing. They want to do different things. But they're so ingrained in this all kind of way where parents are saying, "Well, this is what you're doing." But the problem, what's happening now, in my area here, every month we have quite a few people killing themselves. I use the word killing because that's what it is. And but we use softer terms as social workers and psychotherapists. We use softer terms that they're die,
Right. Right.
that they die by suicide and so on. But
Right.
and that's a major thing happening here. Recently, it happened. A 22-year-old, committed suicide, right? because of all of this thing here that we talked about, right? And so people need to have that opportunity to kind of make some choices and not stuck. One student came from India, did not understand the culture here, was doing well back in India, did not attend school at all, was going to the mall 1 year after when they tried to see where he's at. He was so embarrassed that he was not able to fulfill, the parents' wish and desire. He commits suicide, right? It's
Really?
happening all. Oh yes, it's happening. All my neighbors and investigator. He investigates all of these cases here, and it's a shame. It's a shame because one, the school don't make it known because the school thing is a business, and I love my school, but it is a business, right?
Right.
And so they don't put that anywhere. The newspaper people don't make that known. The government can only do so much because they're in there for their own agenda and all of that, and the everyday people suffer. And so we need to break out of that for sure, and it's okay for people to be a designer. It's okay for them to be whatever they want to be. Not everybody will want to be an engineer, or not everybody want to finish off a doctorate and this and that. Some people just go to college, finish a 2 year, find a job and live a happy life. That is okay. Like, what is
Right.
wrong with that?
Right.
Yeah. Hmm.
You're talking about that. I know a patient of mine. His family sent him to do electrical engineer in the United States, and that's not what he wanted to do. He ended up being on drugs, and he's homeless. So it is so true that sometimes we do, and it is, and probably that's another show where our expectations for our kids, we want them to do well in life. But the bottom line is that if they don't want to do well, there is nothing that we can really do to help them. And what is important from what I'm seeing um, is that, as parents, the best thing that we can do for our children is to give them good guidance, to teach them, to let them know that what is right and what is wrong, and leave them and let them choose what they want to do. I also want to say I'm reading a comment here, and I like her comment too, Desiree. And if I have any guest on the program who's watching our show and they think they could talk to me or have a conversation on the radio, please let me know your topic, and because I like to read up on the topics you guys talk about, so I could get good questions, so we could bring the best out of you. So anybody wants to come on the show, I don't care. As long as it's a good conversation, come on down. This is what the show is about. My show is not bringing all the celebrities and all these kind of things. Yes, I bring them on sometimes to get to bring people with them on the show, but my show, and I'm sure Narine Dat show, is for the grassroots of people, for the poor people, to make a difference in people's life. Let's talk about, let's see, I have, Billy says you need to talk to your kids. I have a good communication, a good relationship with my kids. Thank you very much, Billy. And that's what we have to do. Kiss and Breathe, a book by Rohit Jagisar. I have to read that book. I know Rohit Jagisar had a nice radio show here in New York. So that's a good book that was recommended for us to read. We have there, as we said, cultural clash between the two generations. Elizabeth Lowe, good afternoon again. They fail to accurate. Um, let's see, we have Billy again. He is only in New York. And New York is a rough life. It's a rough place to live in. It's not that easy. Ryan says, yes, no matter how much you try, some people just cannot change. Change is not an easy thing, and change can be very difficult for some people. For me, and I say this so that someone could hear, changes was tough for me. I came to the United States with nobody with me, no money, no nothing. It was tough. It wasn't easy. But deep down in my soul, I wanted to be somebody. I wanted to do great things. And I don't know how great it is, but I wanted to make a contribution towards society. I wanted to live a purposefully life. I was offered to go sell drugs when I came here the first week, and I said no. You know,
Uh,
Go ahead.
no. Thank you for
Yeah,
sharing that. I think
yeah.
it's
I was
important. Yeah.
offered to go sell drugs. And now right as we are talking, a lot of people talk a lot of different things, and I get upset sometimes, but I have to check my own self. Like you said, you want to take off the hat. When I came to America over 30 years ago, When I didn't have money to buy food, I used to go in the bathroom and drink water to quench my thirst and to fill my belly. I never went and steal because that was not in my DNA. And I did not go and beg anybody for anything. I drink that water and come home and sleep. You know what I'm saying? And so I tell people, as a human being, I I could make the best choice I want for me. What is, but to go steal, not in my book. I would not going to do that. So, as human being, I believe in so many times that we have a choice in life. We were born into this world, and we were given choices. We choose what we want to do in life. Despite academically, I didn't pass no exam when I was a young boy growing up. I failed everything miserable. I never give up. I still fight. I still run. I get up, brush off, and run many times. And that's why I think I try my very best to do this show and to bring my experience to share with you guys, so you could make a difference. Can refuse to be a roadside pharmacist. Absolutely. I'm not going to do those kind of things. I just want to do the thing that's right. I don't know how much years more I have to live. And I've always said it, and I will always say it. I will try my very best to live my best life, and I want to do so honestly. And I believe that the way how things, I'm picking up pennies on the street, I'm picking up cans, and that's how my life will go. On the other side, I don't know what's there for me. I can only believe and hope that on the other side, it's a better world than the world that we are living in. We are living in a selfish world. People think about themselves only. But I still, no matter what happens, I always aspire to do great things and to be good. I have my friend Ramola. Let me see what Ramola is saying. I think family support is number one cause for suicide, because these victims cannot turn to their family because of their lack of knowledge. Long ago, their parents was humble, so there was a place called home. Now, I'm glad she said that. And Narine, I want you to help sound the bell harder than I can. I believe our children need our support. I believe no matter what our children do, they become gay, they do drugs, they steal. We as parents, we need to support our children, because if as a mother or a father, you can't love your children and you can't support your children, how do you expect out there people to do that or give them
Absolutely.
love? Take it away.
Absolutely. I mean, it is extremely crucial, right, for children to have that continuous support, right? And so what that means is there should be open communication. I see people talking about that. There should be an
Right.
open communication where, that child or the children should be able to have the guide, from the parents, exactly what Priya said, right? And we have to be there continuously supporting them, but supporting them based on the things that they want to do in life, not necessarily to fulfill our dreams, right? Because keep in mind, certain people haven't had the opportunity to do certain things in life, right? And they now want to have, they pass it on to their kids and say, you know what? I would like you to do this because I haven't had that opportunity. Let's say, I don't know, finish off a specific degree, or I don't know, get
Mhm.
into a specific role and so on. I think that's very troublesome, unless if the child wants to go along that line, right? If the
Mhm.
child chooses a certain path, that's great. And let's say for some reason, I think the key point here is that, let's say for some reason the child gives it a shot, right? And if it doesn't work out, I think that's when we have to kind of say, now, you know what? I'm here for you, that you have given it your all. I think it's so powerful for a child to hear this from their parent and say, you know what? You have given it your all, and that's all we ask for. That's important, right? Do not set a specific expectation where, if you pass all your courses and whatnot with an A, we're gonna buy you a bicycle or whatnot. I've seen a 12-year-old kill herself because of that, for that
Mm.
specific reason, for bicycle, things like that,
Wow.
right? And so we need to kind of be there. And speaking of failure too, right? You mentioned something about failure.
Right,
Without
brother.
failure in life, we will never move on to the next stage. So failure is so crucial. If we don't fail in life, it means that we have not given ourselves the opportunity to grow, right? And parents need to understand that. So if your child fail at something all at once, that doesn't mean that you put an end to that thing, whatever that is. You let your children know that, you know what? We will not always be successful at our very first try, right? As long as that's a child, as long as the child wants that part particular thing. Last night, for example, I was watching a black girl from Africa. She was approached by a white woman. The white woman said to her that, you know what, you should get in modeling. And girl laughed, because
Wow.
nobody ever told her that she's beautiful. Because usually when you're darker skinned and things of that kind, people view you differently, right? And
Yeah.
so she ended up entering the Miss USA pageant, did not make it. She entered second time, did not make it. Third time, did not make it. The fourth time, she did not make it. Fifth time, did not make it. And guess what? Sixth time, she did not make it, and the lady died. 5 months after, she became the first soldier to become a Miss USA. So it goes to show that you will not always be successful at your very first try, and you need that support, whether that be a mentor, whether that be from parents. Always crucial, right? And so that's important. So you fail, as you mentioned, your own story.
Yeah.
That was an opportunity for you to say, you know what, I'm not going to let anything to hold me back. Very recently, the Guyana Chronicle wrote a beautiful article about me. When you read that article, you can think that I'm the best man in the world, that I've achieved this and achieved that. What did it not tell you? That I also had challenges in life. I also did not do so well in certain areas, and things of that kind, right? I get better as I go along. So it is important that we share all of this, that we will not always be successful as our very first try, and we need continuous support. Always,
But
always.
yeah, by the way, it looks like we're watching the same things because I could have heard that story with that girl.
Oh,
She was
good,
tall,
good.
slim,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I listened to her speech must be more than 5 times.
yeah.
And it was a beautiful story. Yes, she was in the army. I see we getting a lot of comments in our, when I started the show, right? People don't know the background. I'm like, oh my God, we don't have enough material to talk about here tonight. But let's see what we're gonna do. But time is running, and we may not able to cover some of the stuff. But let's go, and then I'm gonna read our. I see Joy is watching. Joy, please help me sell some of them tickets. Joy is one of my faithful followers who always support the Ken Rampersaud Show. Should we really travel? Trust evil people with our lives?
I don't think so. We have to be careful with that, right? I don't think so. I mean, if we recognize that there is somebody there who can easily set us up for failure and make our life miserable, it's a sign that that person should never be trusted. It doesn't mean to say that people cannot change, but change doesn't happen overnight as well too, right? So for me, if I'm seeing signs, all the signs that we talked about earlier, where this person seems to be, an obstacle not only for me but for, anywhere he or she goes or being part of, we have to be extremely careful with that, because what's happening too, people are so good, right, in what they do in terms of the evil aspect of it, that when they say it to you, right, the way they say it, the way they flow it to you, it seems so true. And people these days sometimes don't look on the other side, because as I mentioned, in one of my in my videos, there are three sides to every story, right? One, the evil side, where one person, I'm going to say my side of it, and then you will say your side of it, and it's always will be two different sides. But then there's the truth, right? That's the third side, right? So never trust an evil person. I mean, I wouldn't recommend you. How can you trust an evil person, right? We have to be careful, right? And still keep in mind that, there's a chance for people to change, but it does not happen overnight.
I'm glad you talk about trust, and I'm glad I asked you the question because I got certain principle now in me that if you tell a lie one time, a simple lie, then you could lie, make a big lie. So I cannot trust you. When I see you sneaky behavior and you lying, I can't trust you. Nothing that you do. So that's why, in my opinion, when I'm at work, I try to be honest. Um, because you never know what kind of problem you could be in, and a lot of times sometimes patients come up with malicious um, complaints, and they would say, oh, that nurse did not treat me good, but because of my bosses who know the kind of person that I am, they would say, no, I did not say that, or that did not come to my mouth. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it's always good to start your journey.
Absolutely, absolutely. Oh yes, it happens all the time. So I'm glad. Yeah, yeah. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, let's see. Let's see what time we have now. We got 8 minutes more to go. Let's give some love to our viewers. I see Priya said, thank you for an excellent discussion, gentlemen. Looking forward to the next one. Keep it up, Ken, and you too, Narine. That, by the way, she loves you. She loves all the things that you believe in. That's our Priya Prasad. Shanta Prasad is watching. A very good afternoon to you. Ryan Lawler says, it's good when you fail at something to know what it feels like. This way, your your kid does, they should be put to shame. Sorry, I was thinking of something there too. And it is so true. If I didn't fail so many times, I probably would not have been the man that I am today. Joy, a very good afternoon to you too. Savitri Bailey, a very good afternoon. It's good to have you on. This world and society we are living in is very different. Parents need to support their children with their decision in life. Absolutely. Billy said, if you don't show your kids love and support, the street will. And I want to tell you that. I hear a story about that. The lessons that you don't teach your children, definitely the street will. And I get to see a lot of times the lessons that parents didn't teach their children, that the drugs and the drug dealers will teach them. And that's bad. Priya Prasad said failure is the key ingredients to success. Roxanne says, and your own grown-up children, let them know that your door is always open if this marriage isn't working before they end up in the grave. Absolutely. That's a beautiful comment. We sometimes, and it's the old time story, you send your children, you send your children to marry, you marry them out, and when the husband beat them, Guyana style, you send them back for get some more beating, and then they end up and they're dead. So that's a great comment you made there, Roxanne. Thank you very much. And I have to tell you, Roxanne, I appreciate you staying on the discussion, because I know the truth is that you always work, and these are the times that you work. But sometimes you sneak in the bathroom or you sneak in the lunch to listen to our show. If Ramola says if everyone becomes lawyers and doctors, then who will pack the grocery shelf? So that's good. Good. I like when our viewers, they're interacting with us. Rowena says, great session. Stanley is watching us. He says, good afternoon. Bless up. He is from New Jersey. Desiree Simmons, appreciate your topic today because I've always been blindsided by evil people. Now I know. And Desiree looked nice. She looked like a good person. So let's go with another song. And then when we come back, we are going to be wrapping up this program. I'm so glad that you guys tune in to the Ken Rampersaud Show here on Island Zone Radio. One of my favorite songs. welcome back to the Ken Rampersaud Show. We only have about 2 or 3 minutes more to go. So, your closing remarks, my brother, Narine Dat, who is from Canada. He's a talk show host, a social worker, and among many other things, a great human being. Go ahead, brother.
So first of all, I want to thank all the people who are watching and will be watching at some point. Do know that the purpose of the show is to really kind of get us on the same page, because we know that there are a lot of smart people watching, and we know that we still have lots of work to do. Right at the end of the day, change start with us. And I would encourage you, if you're one of those person, because we're not perfect. If you're one of those person that kind of always take control of things and don't share that platform. I'm not talking about social media platform. You want to make sure that you be mindful and kind of give other people the opportunity. You want to make sure that you be conscious also with the people them around you. Keep in mind they can look nice, decent, with a tie, with a suit, and be evil, and it can affect you mentally and affect the people around you. And try to find that power in you. You have that power. You just want to find it and use it, right? All the tools you need, it's within you. You don't have to reach out to Ken Singh and I or anywhere else. You have it. You just have to use it, believe in yourself, and then by the time you know it, all of this, the evil thing that we are talking about, it hopefully comes to a point that you can recognize it and start to do the thing that you need to do, so that you're not allowing it to kind of affect you. I kind of say this because our topic kind of is about this whole evil piece here. So I personally like to thank you for joining us. Thank you, Ken, for having me here. But I can assure you, next time we'll continue some very interesting conversation that is worth talking about. So thank you.
Thank you. I now see, I just put on my computer chat and I see the beautiful Shamisa Ali is watching the show. Shamisa, thank you very much for your love, your support. You are a genuine soul. And guys, if you're watching, Shamisa have her show every Wednesday evening. I always tune into her show and give her my support. She's trying to make, and she is making a big difference in our community. Again, you can always watch Shamisa's show every Wednesday and follow her page. Let's get real with Shamisa. Again, guys, I want to say thank you so much to, and Shamisa was on talking. I didn't see she's on. It's good I turn it on. So, Narine, thank you so much for tuning, for agreeing to come on the show. I love the show today because you know what? We didn't get any problem with the volume and
Yeah.
all this problem, mic and everything. Lord Jesus, you guys don't know. I didn't have to stress. It was a good discussion. You guys did a fantastic job. I love all of you. Again, Narine, we got myself and Narine, we on the same page. I'm reading him while he's talking to me, so I know what to ask him, and that's a good thing that we have. And he's very knowledgeable. He have a couple of degrees. He have a master's degree, so it's always a pleasure to bring him on the show. And thanks, guys, to our viewers. Thank you very much for your love, your support, and I really look forward for your love and support. And that's where you guys tell me how much you love myself and Narine. Again, please don't forget. Golden, I see you watching. Shanti Singh, thank you very much. I see you will give me a donation. Thank you very much. Really means a lot. Thank you to Anita Ish for making the nice flyer that you were on today. Thank you very much. Anjani Olarti, thank you very much. I bring you plenty of luck. Ken, thank you very much, my dear. I cannot say enough. And please, guys, if $10, $2 you can afford, go to Zelle and put in 917-767-2248. Me a take $10, $5, dollar, whatever you donate will make a difference in the lives of so many people in Guyana. And I will try to bring these things live so you could see it. I don't want nobody to say I'm stealing money, so you will get to see the work that I am doing. Some things you may not see. I'm not saying when I'm going to Guyana, but I am heading to Guyana very soon, and for a good cause. I'm not going for vacation, really. I'm just going to see that this house that this lady have that's halfway that we'll get to finish again. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and do have yourself a very pleasant evening. And again, please try your best not to be an evil person. I know we have a lot of good soul in our shout box and those who are watching. Even 5 cents, that's right, Ravinja, even 5 cents. Anything you give me accept and bless. Sharmila Ram Sarup, a very good evening to you too. Sarup, a very good evening. Yes, anything. I could come pick up the money, it's not a problem. The more you give, the merrier, the more blessing you'll get. Remember, God always believe in to be a giver than to be a taker. I don't take people money that easy. The only thing I take is donation and give it back to people in Ghana. So, Narine, thank you very much, my brother. Until next week again, do tune in tomorrow and we'll get you, okay? Thank you very much and have a very pleasant evening. All right? Thanks. Bye-bye.
The best patient ever. You think forget it out.